All right. Hello, everybody. Hope you all are doing well. This is DFS Army's pre-lock show where we are going to go game by game. We're going to talk through all the injury news that we have because we have a lot. And then we'll also answer your questions along the way. And if we don't get to it while we're going through the games, we'll get to them at the end of it. Brandon, we were talking about before the show. I feel like this is kind of a hard slate to talk about just because we don't have the Detroit Pistons news. Cade Cunningham and Jalen Duren are listed as questionable. A lot of people aren't expecting them to play. This is pretty big because it shapes the entire slate. So we'll kind of talk about our approaches, but we won't focus too much on exposures yet just because that news is going to shape so much and change exposures differently. I'll try and highlight some spots that, hey, I'm going to do this no matter what, or hey, this is someone I won't like as much if we get the news. But, we have to play it by ear. Brandon, good to have you back, man. How are you feeling about this slate?
Yeah, I think it'll be an exciting slate, but crazy at the same time, especially waiting on this Detroit news, like you said. Um, it's really hard to talk specifics about exposures, but again, we'll talk about who we like and just another reason for y'all to sign up if you're not a member. If you want specifics, then we'll probably drop more specifics in our Discord after the show. So.
Yep, exactly. And last night was pretty good. It was a pretty good one for me. I know it wasn't good for everyone, so we won't, harp on it too much. But we had to fight a little bit to get there, but we did. Jules, Kevin, Kudra, Wagwan, good to see y'all. You're
Yeah,
right, Sean. Let's
I
get it.
wish Deontay showed up last night. Would have been
Yeah.
an even better night.
There were a couple of disappointments. I had a couple of top 50 lines. Honestly, if you ever are having a decent amount of like top 50, top 100 lines, especially with how these contests are shaped these days, that's impressive. You're doing something right. It's just not all coming together yet. So I know everyone didn't kill it last night, but we definitely were on the right track with a lot of it. But let's do better today. We have the Milwaukee Bucks going up against the Hornets. I said it yesterday. I love any slate the Hornets are on, and that's what we have today. The Bucks are in an interesting situation because Giannis Antetokounmpo is out, which means all of these Bucks are looking good here. What's your approach? How are you viewing these guys? What's up with you here?
So yeah, as of now, the obvious Bucks are one of the biggest chalk teams on the slate, of course, with no Giannis. So we'll be getting a lot here. Don't feel good about it, but it is against the Hornets, and these guys are priced nicely for the situation. So hopefully they can show up like they should. So, anyways, I won't go over specifics, but right now, Ryan Rollins and Kyle Kuzma are showing as core plays. They should be two of the chalkiest guys on the slate. I did put him in on Portis. He hasn't been as good in this situation this year. I know we haven't really seen it that much either, but I remember last time Giannis went out, he came off the bench and just wasn't really that guy like we've seen in the past. So still want some exposure on him, but don't feel too confident. And then wasn't really getting much Miles Turner, so put a 20% min on him. I think he's too cheap for the situation, and it's still bigs against his team. And then Cole Anthony wasn't showing up too much for me either, and he should get a bigger role as well at a nice price. So put a 15% min there. And AJ Green, I didn't mind taking a shot there, especially at 6% ownership. So just matching the field on him. He's a little more dependent on his shot, so he's a bit riskier than some of these other guys.
Yeah, earlier today, Ryan Kalkbrenner was questionable. I was really hoping he was going to miss this game because it would make the matchup even softer. The Hornets have been, average to slightly below average, but not as awful as they typically are. Kalkbrenner has been a really big part of that, but they're still not a great defense, so I'm not overly concerned about it. I have a 30% min on Miles Turner. He's going to be a priority for me here because we talk about it playing bigs against this Hornets team. He actually has the highest increase in usage when Giannis is out. And as long as, this game stays close, I like having him. Ryan Rollins doesn't make me incredibly nervous. You know, he's still young, so he'll make mistakes out there. Sometimes he doesn't have the ceiling performances we would like to see. But with Giannis out, he takes on a large role. And so I didn't put an exposure maximum on him. He's showing up in a lot of my lineups. I put a 25% min on Bobby Portis. I just wanted to be a little bit closer to field weight exposure there. And he's priced well. We talked about it the last time Giannis was out, Brandon. Like, last year we saw Portis do this too. Sometimes he'll come off the bench. Sometimes he'll start with Giannis out. He's just volatile one way or the other. But that doesn't mean he doesn't still have like that 40, 50, 60-point upside when Giannis is out. So I'm still just going to force exposure to it, even though it's scary. And I know the floor is extremely low. And then I put a 15% min on Cole Anthony. He's just another guy who's going to see a decent amount of minutes here. He's already been pretty involved with his minutes, but with Giannis out, that's less competition. Then I have a 6% min on Gary Trent Jr., just another guy with a lot of upside in the team I like to pick on. So I like the Bucks a good amount. Some of the value guards and forwards I would consider taking mins off with that Detroit news, but for now, that's what I have settings-wise. Next up, we have the Charlotte Hornets going up against the Bucks. These guys are relatively healthy, outside of LaMelo, who's been out for a little bit now. What do you like here, Brandon?
Yeah, definitely don't like this side of the ball as much, and we'll be focusing on two guys mainly. Concanipple threw a like on him and a 25% min. I'm probably going to be somewhere double the field, if not a bit more there. He's just playing way too good right now. LaMelo's still out. It's a great matchup. Still like his price. So just makes a lot of sense to me to go right back to him. And then just a 10% min on Miles Bridges just due to the upside, and love the spot even more without Giannis. So we don't have a lot of pay-up options on DraftKings tonight. So he's just somebody with that high upside that I want exposure to.
Yeah. The crazy thing about Concanipple is this feels wrong, but when you look at him, you would assume he's more of like just a scorer, a pure scorer, kind of like a Duncan Robinson, someone who's a bit more volatile. But he does a little bit of everything. He's getting rebounds, he's getting assists, and like you said, 6,600. That's a little bit too cheap for me. I also have a 25% min on him. I just like this game. I have a 20% min on Miles Bridges as well. I want to be over the field. He's pricey. He can go out there and do a lot of nothing. He just doesn't care today. But it's just a spot I want to be over the field on because it's a good matchup and good game environment. And then I also have a 5% min on Diabate. I always forget how he says it. But he's a little cheap for me just with him being a relatively high points per minute guy. I just think it's just another value guy I want in the mix. Another guy who we might not need, but for now, I want to force some exposure there. Next game, we have the Chicago Bulls going up against the Pistons. Again, the Pistons news matters a lot here because this matchup gets much softer if guys like Duren and Cade are out too. So that's something I'm trying to keep top of mind. Josh Giddey is out for this game. We got that a little bit before lock. For me so far, I have a 10% min on Nikola Vucevic. He's going to be a leverage play for me on this slate. Kevin Huerter is showing up by himself in my lineups, and I like him. He's someone I would have forced exposure to if he didn't show up. He's showing up in about 21% of my lineups. And then, let's see. I am interested in guys like Trey Jones and Matas Buzelis as well, and especially Io too. But I haven't put a min on them because I really am just kind of waiting until 6:30, 6:40 to see what happens with the Pistons. If the Pistons are healthy, then I'm going to take shots on guys like that. But if the Pistons are missing players, I'm just going to kind of trust the DS and force some more exposure to the cheapies on the Pistons side. What is your approach here? I know it looks like you like a few more of these guys, or you already forced exposure to the situation at least.
Really quick, we just got some interesting news that I was not expecting. Ja Morant is trending on being out.
Oh, I saw that one earlier. That's okay.
Yeah, I must have missed that, but yeah, I do like this team. A bit more than I did before we got the getting news. So I'll be kind of attacking the same guys we did last time out. So 15% man on Herder. He looked great, still priced greatly. Vooch hasn't been looking as good, but I like him even more if Duran is ruled out. So I have a 10% min there. Jalen Smith, 5% min. It's just hard to deny how well he's playing right now. The last 2 games, I think he has scored at least 30 fantasy points. So he's still fairly cheap for how he's been playing, and just another value play, a low on value play to get off some of that chalk from the other game. 5% man on Io, and then 5% man on Trey. Thought about Buzelis, but he's been so disappointing this season. I wouldn't be surprised if he smashed here, but couldn't pull the trigger.
Yeah, I'm with you on pretty much all those plays. The one thing that worries me a little bit about Jalen Smith is just matchup-wise. If Duran gets ruled out, I just don't know if they're going to need him that much. I usually like him against teams like Cleveland and the Spurs when they have like a really talented big. But again, if like Duran plays, I'm willing to go back there. Did we get the news that Kate is out, or are you just teasing me, Lee?
I haven't seen that yet.
Okay. Stop tempting me with a bad time, Lee. Or a good time. That's a good time. All right. All right. So, yeah, that's the Bulls. I think we like them. These first 2 games are really games I want to highlight, but again, we're just waiting. We already touched on the news we're waiting on here. I am not doing anything with this team until we get that news. I'll just keep saying that. Brandon, what about you?
Yeah, I did nothing here. Duran is showing a little bit, but I mean, it's going to change if he gets rolled out. So wait and see approach. We'll get the news before lock, so we'll just have to react accordingly.
Yeah, and I see y'all in the chat saying that it's already come out that he's out. I just haven't seen it from Underdog yet. That's always my thing. Just wait until Underdog tells me, and then I'll trust it. All right. Next up, we have the Orlando Magic going up against the Knicks. Knicks played last night, so they are on the back end of a back-to-back here. Brandon, do you like the Magic?
Not really. It's only Suggs for me. I didn't have to do anything special. Right now, he's showing at 32%. So as long as I'm around fill weight on him, I think he's too cheap for how he's been playing when he is in. He's been paying off this price tag. So do like him. Couldn't really get to anyone else. Bane has been kind of average this season, and FOMO is real with Paolo and Franz, but neither one of them have really been playing well enough to pay these price tags off. So outside of Suggs, I'm avoiding this team.
Oh, yeah. I did not talk about a rant on Kuzma that I kind of wanted to do. I did cap him at 60. I don't remember if I said that or not, but they have a really soft matchup, so I'm going to save that rant for another day. For me with Orlando, I think I like them a little bit more than you. I have a 5% min on Paolo, just taking a shot there. We don't have too many pay-up options, and so he's just someone I like having exposure to. And then Suggs, I have a 20% min on. And like you, he shows up by himself, but he's someone I can see falling depending on news. And so he's just someone I didn't want to forget about. He's just a little bit too cheap for how much he's playing and how well he's been playing. And then more information on the Paolo. I just want to take a shot on him or Franz with the Knicks on the back end of a back-to-back. They didn't play too much yesterday, but because they were blowing the other team out, but I still wanted to take a shot on that. All right, let's see. When it comes to the Knicks tonight, they are pretty healthy, unless I'm missing someone. Have you seen anything on the Knicks, Brandon?
Nope, I have not.
And okay, y'all in the chat are like arguing with each other, going back and forth. So I don't know yet which way y'all are trying to go. But for me with the Knicks, I put a 5% min on Cat. Similar thought process here to Paolo. I just wanted some exposure to this game because everyone else is ignoring it. And we don't have too many pay-up options. But this isn't a great spot. This is a low total game. Nothing too sexy here. Do you feel differently, Brandon?
Yeah, I thought about 5% men's on Brunson and Cat. Again, that's kind of more so FOMO, but I really don't like this spot. I played them both last night because I did like the spot, and they both smashed. But this one, I just don't have a really good feeling on. And even OG and Bridges, who I normally play, I'm just on a bigger slate and other options. I didn't really target anyone here.
Perfect. All right. Next up, we just found out Ja Morant isn't playing. Not the best matchup against Boston, but Boston, they are also on the back end of a back-to-back. They played last night. I'm sure like you probably weren't thinking about Memphis too much before the news, but now the spot's a little bit more interesting.
Yeah, unfortunately. Because that means I'm probably going to play some JJJ, and I really don't want to, but it's going to be hard not to. Boston's front court, I always say it, I like to attack them too. So with him, most of the usage should go through him. So probably will take a shot there. And then Cam Spencer, I would imagine, gets a huge boost. So I'll have exposure there. And then probably get some to Coward and Aldama again as well. So
Yeah.
be more curious to see how everybody looks once we get an update. But those are a few guys at least that I know I have.
Perfect. Yeah, I'm with you on a lot of this where, we did just get the news that Cade is out and Duran's not at warm-ups. So I think that's why everyone's feeling that way. We'll get there, y'all. We have time. We don't have to rush this information. It's okay. It's okay. I'm with you. I'm taking a shot on Jaren Jackson Jr. I am waiting for things to update just to kind of see where ownership falls to see how much exposure I'm going to get. But I like it. Coward was already going to be a leverage play for me in this spot at 6K. He's shown he has 30-point upside. I had an 8% min on him. I'll probably keep that. I doubt ownership will change too much, so we'll see what happens there. And then Aldama, I've also liked before the Ja news. I had a 5% min on him. And so depending on where ownership and what projections do once we get that news, I'm comfortable being over the field there. So he will get there. Yeah, I agree. Perfect. Next up, we have Boston going up against Memphis. Super soft matchup here, which I like for them. But no real injury news, which is really the name of the game for this slate. Any of these guys stand out for you, Brandon?
Yeah, this team didn't look too great last night, but I'm going to play a couple of these guys. That's Jaylen Brown. I just really like the matchup, and I think he bounces back from his poor performance last night. So put a 15% min there. And then Simons will be a leverage play for me. He's just playing too good right now and still priced fairly cheap. And again, love the matchup. So one exposure there. Don't think I can play Derek and Peyton. I've been saying it every time they're on the slate. Both of them have been very disappointing, so not going to force the issue with them.
Yeah, the Simons leverage play yesterday hit. I thought about going back to it too, but with Cade out, I do think I have better options here. Jaylen Brown will be a leverage play for me today. I have a 20% min on him. I could understand why people like Derek White and Peyton Pritchard. But once again, just with Cade out, I think we have better options here. So Jaylen Brown leverage for me, and then that's about it. I'm double checking exposures and no one else is showing up. All right. Next up, we have another team, the Cleveland Cavaliers, going up against Miami Heat. That's very banged up. Darius Garland isn't playing tonight. Donovan Mitchell isn't playing tonight. Evan Mobley isn't playing tonight. And then Jalen Tyson's out too, but that's not even worth comparing. Larry Nance Jr. is questionable. That's worth noting here. For me in this spot, I like the Cavs. I mean, it's hard not to. We have to see how the Cavs value situation matches up in comparison to the Pistons. I think I'll have a good mix of both, to be honest. But the only guys I needed to force exposure to was Lonzo Ball. I put a 30% min on him. At 4,500, he's just really cheap. The Heat have been playing at a super fast pace. This is the highest total game on the slate. I'm not going to avoid this situation, even if he is a little volatile. And then I have a 10% min on Larry Nance Jr. That's a little bit grosser, especially if Duren actually doesn't play. I'm going to put a 5% min on Nance and just kind of let it go from there. The guys who show up by themselves are Jared Allen. I'm not going to limit him. Sam Merle, I'm not going to limit him. DeAndre Hunter is showing up right around 60%. All of those guys are looking like potential core plays. And then Craig Porter Jr. showing up in 3% of lineups. But I do think that will I don't hate Craig Porter Jr. here. I kind of like him, but I do think that will probably fall some with the Pistons news. But what are you doing here, Brandon? Do you feel the same way, differently?
For the most part, my main guys I'll be focusing on is Jared Allen, DeAndre Hunter, and Merrill. I'm okay if Merrill drops a little bit with the Detroit news we just got, but definitely Allen and Hunter will be my top two priorities, and we'll stay, if not core, be pretty close to core. Lonzo, I've been going back and forth on. Even in spots like this, he really hasn't shown much upside. He's been doing okay. I won't say he's been playing bad, but especially with that Detroit news we just got, he's probably not going to be a huge priority for me. But okay if I get some. And then I did put a 15% man on Porter and a 5% man on Proctor. Again, trying to throw in some low value. I really just want to match the field, so I'll keep an eye on where ownership goes with the Detroit news. But typically when they see minutes, they can definitely pay off this 3K price tag. So that's pretty much it for me.
Perfect. Hungso said, are the Cleveland Cavaliers the sneaky link of the day? I don't think they'll be sneaky, but they're definitely in a good spot. And then next up, we have the Miami Heat. Man, Miami, they're playing different than every other team, which I love. Just seeing teams do things differently. Bam is still out here. Matchup against the Cavs with half their team out just really isn't as scary. Norman Powell was pretty good last time out when we played him, but he's priced up. I have a 5% min on him. I don't hate it. But I just want to have him in the mix. And his ownership has actually gone up, so I'm going to increase it to 10%. Andrew Wiggins, I have a 10% min on. I thought about taking a shot on Jaime, but ultimately I couldn't at 7,300. I just think he's priced appropriately. There's other guys who stood out for me more. Where I have a 10% min on, I thought about Jovic. I couldn't get there. Same with Davion Mitchell. I like this game, but the focal points for me are really going to be Norman Powell, Andrew Wiggins, and Khalil Ware, and is really just with 10% mins. And I'll keep those pretty much no matter what. What are you doing here, Brandon?
Yeah, I just lowered some of my percentages, but
because I was going high, you're like, nah, screw that.
No, just again with that Detroit news, don't want too much exposure here. But with it being the highest game total on the slate and Cleveland missing majority of their stars, and just the pace they play, like I gotta have something here.
Yeah.
So pretty much 5% men's on all the main guys, and I did go 10% men on Davion. I just really like his price. And then with Garland and Mitchell out, their backcourt is a bit weaker, so I think Davion can definitely take advantage of this spot. So wanted some leverage there.
I get it. I do. All right. Next up, we have the Warriors going up against the Spurs. These games get a little gross the further we go. Warriors are pretty healthy. We do have Kuminga listed as questionable, which, definitely would matter if he misses. And I remember Kerr talked about Draymond Green missing, but he ended up playing. None of that matters. It's really just Kuminga listed as questionable now. I didn't do anything here. Did you, Brandon?
Nope, pretty easy team to skip by. I know we usually like taking a shot on Curry, but he's been dealing with the illness and just hasn't been looking too hot. So
yeah, Also, just not a great matchup either.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I don't have to. He's matchup proof when he really gets going, but I'm not trying to do that. Where things get a little bit tougher for me is with this Spurs team. We have value at guard, but their guards have been incredible. Both Castle and Fox have been really good. And then Victor. He has a super low floor for a 11,500 player. We hit on him last time. But as of right now, I'm not taking a shot on any of these guys. But it looks like you like them a bit more than I do, Brandon.
Yep, I like this side of the ball way more than Golden State. I like the matchup for him. Wemby, he should do whatever he wants against his front court. I wish he was lower owned, but again, we don't really have many pay ups tonight, especially anyone else with similar upside to Wemby. So with all the value we have, it's just going to be super easy to get to him tonight. And then, like you said, Fox and Castle have just been looking great. So they have slate breaking upside at low ownership. So just playing them on a big slate.
Yeah, I'm trying to. Yeah, he has had some big games against the Warriors before. I was gonna fade Victor today, but you got me. I'm on board again. I'll do what min did you put on him? 15 or 10?
15.
Yeah, I'll do 15. I'll call it a day. I don't know. Castle and Fox, I just can't do that right now. But I understand. They've been so good. Next up, we have the Washington Wizards going up against the Rockets. I've been on the SAR train for a long time, but this is where I hop off. I don't like picking on the Rockets too much. And they're all healthy. Let me double check that. Washington. Yeah, I mean, Calabally's, he's been out for a little bit now. Do you like the Wizards more than I do?
Not really. I did put a 5% min on Cam Whitmore, though. He's just playing close to 30 minutes and has scored over 24 points in the last 2 games. So just with the form he's in. And this game likely blowing out like the spread suggests 17-point spread.
Damn, you don't see that every day.
That's just crazy. So I think Whitmore could potentially get more run in a blowout. So again, just throwing in a low on value play, probably not needed. But if you're doing 150, definitely don't mind the shot. The chalk plays or value plays are super obvious. So again, just trying to play guys that no one else is really on.
I get it. All right. Next up, we have the Rockets side of this game, which looks a lot better, outside of the potential risk of a blowout. What are you doing with these guys?
Yeah, I put some mins on Şengün and Durant, 15%, just due to their upside. The blowout risk is scary, but I keep saying don't really have many pay up options. So guys with high upside and a great matchup, I want some of. And then Reed Shepherd, kind of similar to Cam Whitmore. He's been playing close to 30 minutes and playing really well the last couple of games. So just another guy I want in the mix tonight and a good matchup.
Yeah, like you keep saying, this matchup is fantastic. I have a 15% min on Şengün. The rest of this team, I can't do. I haven't been able to do Kevin Durant all year. I still can't. It is a great spot. He only scores. That's it. Only scores. So the 25 points he gets are the 25 points you have in your lineup. But he could definitely go off here in a great spot. I liked Amon's ownership, but at 8,100, I just don't know if there's enough upside there with the value we have on this slate. I did put a 5% min on Terry Eason, kind of like yesterday's. Who was it? Sensabaugh? Yeah, like random Sensabaugh, like low, cheap guy who has upside, even in like a little bit of some blowout run. I just put a 5% min on them, and ideally they'll come through. But not a play I love. I just don't love that game too much outside of Şengün. Next up, we have the Portland Trailblazers going up against the Pelicans. Today's Turd Bowl, but Portland's a little bit better. I did see a report where apparently if the Pelicans lose today, their coach gets fired. That's really stupid. Like, he should just get fired or not. Like, one game doesn't change that much, but, things happen. The Trailblazers are pretty healthy, but they have the soft matchup. For me, I did put a 25% min on Denny Avdia. He's just going to be a priority for me on this slate. I always play Denny in really soft matchups, and it's usually works out more often than it doesn't. And then Drew, I have a 5% min on. He's been really good this whole season. I do feel like he's priced appropriately, so we're not getting too much value here, but it's still a smash spot for him. What's your strategy here, Brandon?
Yeah, I was going to target more guys on the side of the ball, but again, my priorities have changed with the news we just got. So it's going to be two main focal points here, Avdia and Drew, and move on. They have the highest usage and upside on the team, and a really solid matchup. So definitely want some shares to them.
Yep, it's perfect. All right, the other side of this game feels weird. I don't know why. I think it's because of like the Pistons news we have. It's just hard to look at a guy like Fears at this point. Derek Queen's just not seeing the minutes I want him to see. So I didn't do anything here.
Yeah, me
Are you
neither.
doing anything?
Yeah, I thought about Fears for a second, but he really hasn't been that great for 5,200 and yeah, everybody else. This team is just frustrating DFS wise because they run such a deep rotation, so it's hard to trust anybody here.
Yeah, I mean, I want to say like, hey, coach's job is in line. Play the guy who has the most talent, Queen. But
You would think so, but
yeah, maybe he needs to go. Like at this point, I don't
seriously,
care.
makes no sense.
All right, so yeah, we didn't really touch that team, and then we have the Suns going up against the Dallas Mavericks. For Phoenix tonight, when it comes to injury news, they are pretty healthy. But let's see if there's anything questionable. Yeah, no, outside of Green, who's been out for a little bit, nothing wild. They do have a nice matchup here going up against the Mavericks, but they've been improving over the last couple of games. Are you forcing exposure to any of these guys?
No, I always think about Booker, but I keep saying it. He really hasn't shown much upside for how he's priced. I wouldn't be surprised if somebody like Royce or Allen goes off. Even Allen, like he's coming off a 61 fantasy point game, but don't really want to chase that, especially with the other options. And thought about Mark Williams too, because I love attacking this Dallas front court, but just with some of the other plays, this team was pretty hard to get to.
Yeah, like Devin Booker has only had great performances against the Jazz so far. Outside of the Jazz, it's pretty mundane. Damn, I'm trying to find a reason to play Booker
Especially
here.
since it's the last game. I'm like, is there a reason to play anybody here? But
like it's really hard. But the nice thing I like is his ownership. Even the sim model doesn't like him, which is usually pretty kind to guys in this situation. Yeah, I can't do it, unfortunately. I really want to, but there's no reason for me to at this point in time. Next up, we have the Dallas Mavericks. Dallas, they are pretty healthy. I mean, AD is out, and it looks like everyone's kind of priced like he was going to play. I know he was questionable earlier, and people were expecting him to play tonight. So there's a little bit of value here. But also looks like Derek Lively's questionable, so he might be coming back. I don't know. I didn't get to these guys too much, but it looks like you like these guys more than I do.
yeah, just one guy in particular, Brandon Williams. He's been playing really well. He got the start over D'Lo last game and looked really good. So I think his ownership drops even more with that Detroit news we just got. So again, low on play in a great spot. I'm playing him. I didn't get to anyone else here.
Yeah, you don't want to get on the Cooper Flag train yet?
No, I won't talk shit about him tonight. He did play well last game. Sometimes you gotta give players a little nudge. So, but yeah, tonight's not the night for me to play him.
All right, give me a second. Let me look a little bit closer at it. I don't hate Cooper Flag tonight. I will put a 5% min on him. You don't have to do that much. He's not that expensive at 6,900. And I like having exposure to the hammer game anyway. So I'll do that 5% as like a balance of me not forcing exposure to Devin Booker. All right. Let's get to updating on some of these situations that have happened and that we got a little bit of clarity on. Let me see if the DS has updated the Pistons at all. Looks like it did. Okay, yeah, it looks like it increased exposure, or at least projections to guys like Paul Reed. Jenkins was fantastic. Was that last night or was that Monday? Yeah,
Yep.
Last night he was so good. I know everyone hates Ron Holland. He's someone I'm very comfortable going back to as well, with Cade and Duran out. Anyone else kind of stand out for you that you want to touch on or even re-emphasize?
I think Javonte Green is going to be worth playing. He showed up for us last time. I hate to say LeVert, but he's a potential play as well. And I don't think I can play Duncan at 5K.
Yeah, I'm going to look at usage increases right quick to see if anyone else pops for me.
Reed and Jenkins would definitely be a core play.
Yeah, Jenkins is already a core play for me in my last run, but I don't know if Reed showed up much. So I'm just going to re-update, refresh, and see what's happening there. But value is not a concern on this slate. The harder part is just trying to figure out what stud to pay up for. For me, I do like a lot of those like mid-range builds with guys like Jaylen Brown and the 7, 8, low 9K range, but there's a lot of ways you can play it. Yeah, Paul Reed is not showing up a lot for me. That's something I'm going to force if he doesn't show up more by like 642.
Yep.
And some of the other guys we touched on too, like Holland and LeVert. Like, this is a team I want to have a lot of exposure to. I'm not shy about this. For me, it's really Bucks, Cavs, Pistons, and then you're going to see guys like Denny, Jaylen Brown, and other like 8, 9K guys I can get exposure to, or it's really how I'm building a lot of my lineups today. Kuzma starting. Appreciate that, Lee. Yeah, I think that's pretty much what we expected. It doesn't continue to put him in a pretty good spot. Yeah, that makes sense, Jules, that Reed might be a little bit lower owned because a lot of people are paying up at center. That wouldn't shock me today either. And I'm not seeing too many questions in the chat, so we might just wrap up a little early here. Anything you want to kind of close off with here, Brandon?
No, I think what you said, the teams to focus on, that's pretty much it for me. So,
yep. I will reiterate Nikola Vucevic as a leverage play. I think that's a really good one. But we'll see. He could pull a Vucevic and do absolutely nothing. So, all right. Appreciate the support, everybody. If you have questions, reach out in the Discord. We will be back tomorrow at 6. So good luck tonight, y'all.